In this video, we're going to talk about the St. Louis Cardinals becoming sellers and trading their biggest player, and this video will be starting right now. But before we get into that, I need you to subscribe to the Baseball Head 2 and let me know what you think about this video. So, as you know, St. Louis Cardinals are dead last in the National League Central. It's the first time in a very long time that they've played this poorly this early in the season. And it looks like they might become sellers. And a player's name has popped up, which is probably a shocking thing, but the more you think about it, it makes some sense. And that is the first baseman MVP of the Cardinals, Paul Goldschmidt. Now, according to FanSite, the St. Louis Cardinals are increasingly looked at as sellers at this year's MLB trade deadline. While over a month away, the Cardinals are nearly 10 games under 500 and the third worst team in the National League by record. They are fifth in the National League Central, a solid 8 games behind the first-place Brewers and 7 games behind the Pirates, who hold a final wildcard spot. It'll be a long, tough battle back to contention, and a stretch against the Reds and the Giants in the coming weeks could very well make John Mozeliak's decision for him. Assuming the Cards cannot surge back into wildcard consideration by the end of June, a trade for Goldie could very well be on the table, and there's a couple of very good reasons why. Here's one reason. He's got another year left on his contract. If he's able to play the entirety of this season, he will be a 5-10 guy, meaning he cannot... Now, I don't know the exact contract details, but right now, he will be 5-10, meaning that after this season is completed, he would have been with the Cardinals for 5 years, and since he's played more than 10 years in the majors, he cannot be traded unless he's asked. Secondly, he's 35 years old. How much better is he getting? His numbers are pretty good, aside from his RBIs being way down. So that is a consideration. And the Cardinals are so bad, some moving pieces around, they'd be better off just getting some young players for him. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Now, here's Redbirds Way Kurt Bishop to say what he says about a trade about Goldschmidt on Sunday. Assuming the Cards have had a contention by the deadline, a little more than youth on the roster could ignite some hope for 24 as the team assesses young talent and prepares for the future. This will also clear the way for some players such as Jordan Walker, Juan Yepez, Mason Wynn, and Lucan Baker, or could even bring in a young power bat to build around the years to come. This may not be the year for the Cardinals, and in that case, if a team is willing to give them Major League ready talent, they may want to pull the trigger on a deal, especially with Goldschmidt's contract set to expire next year, which will be his age 36 season. So the age and the contract are probably the biggest reasons Goldschmidt could be traded. Next up, the Atlanta Braves. Now, we've had a lot of fun here goofing on the Braves and their fans, but the Braves, according to FanSide, should trade for Cubs right-hander Kyle Hendricks. The Chicago Cubs starting pitcher Kyle Hendricks significantly upgraded his trade value on Saturday night, taking a no-hitter into the 8th inning against the San Francisco Giants. That no-no was broken up with 2 outs in the 8th inning, but it still shows something from Hendricks that Cubs fans have been waiting for. A flash from the past. Whether it's sustainable or not, the trade buzz around a player like Hendricks, who should be rather affordable and could be a rental barring a club option after the season, will only increase from here. According to FanSide's Cody Williams, he outlined an argument to trade Hendricks prior to the near no-hitter, and it's a good one. Quote, with his age and the fact that he's had an ERA over 4.75 in each of the last 2 seasons, Hendricks isn't going to be an ultra-coveted commodity at the deadline. Now, he has been on bad teams, so some players tend to pitch better and play better when they're on better teams. At the same time, in a rotation with more protection from the offense and the heart of a better rotation, something the Braves could offer, he could improve on that. And again, his stuff has been promising since he came back. All of the factors at play with Hendricks mean that the trade cost should be reasonable, and if all the Braves are looking to do is find a veteran to plug the hole in the rotation, and there isn't a better answer on the Cubs, and few elsewhere either, and Hendricks, he's been pretty durable too. Atlanta's down 2 of its top starting pitchers in Max Fried and Kyle Wright, which makes the fact they have the best record in the National League all the more impressive. Trading for Hendricks as a stopgap, while those two get healthy by August, makes a lot of sense if Alex Antopoulos can afford him. I also mentioned that the Braves seem to be a little bit concerned about Spencer Strider. His start against the Mets beat him up pretty good. He wasn't throwing nearly as hard as he had been. So there might be some concerns that there might be some problem with Spencer Strider's arm, but we'll see about that. And finally in this video, Marcus Stroman. Marcus Stroman will be one of the most talked about trade commodities prior to the August 1st, 6 p.m. trading deadline in a few weeks, several weeks. As you know, he's been pitching for the Cubs the last 2 years. His first year, he did not pitch well, and this year he's pitched really well. He's probably going to make the All-Star team, I would think. He's got a very good chance to make the All-Star team. He came awfully close to pitching a no-hitter a week and a half ago. He's pitched rather well. The things about Marcus is you will get a great effort on the mound with him. But outside the lines, it could be a little prickly. And we'll leave it at that. But so many rumors out there. Could Marcus Stroman reunite with the Mets or the Blue Jays? Marcus Stroman made it clear that he's tried to reach out to the Chicago Cubs front office about a contract extension, but to no avail. So with that in mind, could the Cubs trade him to his old stomping grounds? Stroman had a tough exit with the New York Mets. That goes without saying. He attacked the Mets. He attacked the Met fans, complaining about them. Just a few weeks ago, when the two sides faced off, Stroman was seen pounding his chest in excitement after recording a strikeout. While Stroman is an emotional player, at least one Met player took it the wrong way. Quote, show some respect. Be a professional. It isn't all about you. Well, it's always about Marcus, if you don't know him. The right-handed pitchers received plenty of hate from Mets fans on social media, so much so that he said something he might regret, referring to supporters of his former team as a trash fan base. It was worse than that, that's what he said. So despite the Mets being his former team and the fact that Stroman grew up in the area, a return to New York does not seem likely in the near future. No, I wouldn't think so. He was not good in this Met clubhouse. But what about the Blue Jays? Now, there was issues there with the Blue Jays, too. With the team, with the players. Toronto's former ace, Alex Manoah, has struggled this year. Got sent down to the minors. The Blue Jays sent him down last week after he failed to make it out of the first inning against the Houston Astros. So despite just being a few games out of the final AL wildcard spot, the Jays could use some extra pitching. As recently as 21, Stroman tweeted that he was open to a reunion north of the border. Yes, it would be costly for Toronto, as Stroman has been one of the best pitchers in the National League so far this season. But as a likely rental given Stroman's opt-out, if the Cubs get desperate, expect the Jays to place a call. Well, we'll see. I could see the Giants getting him. Certainly could see the Padres going after him. I don't see the Mets doing that. I don't think that they were too happy with him here. I'm talking about the front office. I don't think they liked him in the clubhouse. He's too political. And it's not so much he's political to media, he's political within his own clubhouse. And I think that was a bit of an issue here. But I don't know all the details. I'm just sort of taking a guess, just based off his Instagram and all his Twitter posts. But let me know what you think about this video. Please subscribe to the Baseball Head too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.